Hello everyone, welcome to From the Star Wars Home Video Library. I'm your host Nathan P. Butler. This time we finally continue our coverage of something that we saw fairly recently, but which had to go through some hoops to actually get into my hands. You may recall that in the UK, when they got their big blast of 3 different Skywalker Saga box sets, including that one there, and that one there, and, well, that one there, and all their Rise of Skywalker stuff, what they didn't get was the individual releases of, say, 1 through 7, Rogue One, these films that hadn't gotten 4K releases before, like the US did. Instead, it took a matter of months after that for that to start happening. You may recall that in August of 2020, they had a giant blitz. 33 new releases, which we've looked at, which was all 11 of the live-action films, at least the live-action theatrical films, in our way of looking at it. Yes, in some markets, the Ewok telemovies were live-action theatrical films, but the less said about those, the better, usually. Quality crash! Quality crash! We had those 33 releases of DVD, Blu-ray, and a 4K/Blu-ray combo for each of the live-action films back in August in the UK. And before that, though, before any of those, kind of stealth releases hit that started showing up on websites for pre-order without any actual announcement that they were coming, Zavvi stepped in, and Zavvi actually seemed to be the place where, unless there were individual regular releases, which, again, eventually came in August, was going to be the only source to be able to get these all individually, because they started releasing steelbooks, exclusive Zavvi steelbooks, of the 4K/Blu-ray releases for the individual films. Now, partway through their process of doing the pre-ordering and then actually fulfilling the orders for these, that's when the August releases came. But it was a big deal when Zavvi announced this initially, because Rogue One never got a 4K release in the initial batch of Rise of Skywalker Saga stuff. Right? If you wanted a 4K copy of episodes 1 through 7 that didn't have an individual 4K release yet, you could have just gotten that big Skywalker Saga box set. But Rogue One wasn't in it. So Rogue One was sort of this big, oh my goodness, Zavvi is going to be the way to get it. Only, of course, it turns out that eventually in August, they put out regular versions of it. Well, of those steelbooks, it turns out it wasn't just the original trilogy, as we thought maybe at first. Wasn't just the Lucas-era films, wasn't the films that had never gotten 4K releases before. It was, again, all 11 of them as steelbooks, exclusive through Zavvi in the UK. We've already taken a look at A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. I would note with The Empire Strikes Back, they did send out replacement steelbooks because some of the steelbooks were scratched in what appears to be the shrink wrapping machine, but it was just the steelbook that was sent out as a replacement. No discs inside it, no J-card on the outside of it, literally just the metal steelbook to replace those that were damaged. I have received that now as well. And all of this stuff, with the exception of A New Hope, is all thanks to the generosity and assistance of Julian Smith over in the UK. Julian's been a longtime friend of the show. He's helped me acquire quite a few things along the way. In this package with the steelbooks, he actually also sent the Spark of Rebellion UK version that we'll take a look at some point here on the show. But he was kind enough to use his red carpet access with Zavvi that lets them order or pre-order a little bit earlier than the general public to make sure to get in pre-orders for all of the films except for A New Hope for me. A New Hope was one that I ordered myself. Finally was able to get a pre-order, kind of stressing out that morning, only for it to be lost in the mail and have to get a replacement copy of a spare that was bought by Brian Snook. But Julian ordered the other 10 for me. And he sent the previous 2 that we've looked at from him, Empire and Jedi, in a previous shipment. And then the other 8 all came in the mail just this last week or so. And I've sort of learned my lesson with this, which is if you're going to use Parcel Force out of the UK, who delivers in the US by handing it off to FedEx, don't look at the tracking. Just don't. Because their tracking makes no sense. Because their tracking says stuff that is contrary to reality. What happened here, apparently, according to their tracking, was that the package got to the Medway Depot, as they call it, and they got to their international hub and was ready to go out of the country, but no, there was something wrong with the export paperwork, so they needed to send it back to the Medway Depot to go back to Julian. But instead it went to the depot and then back to the international hub. And when he talked to them, they said, oh, no, it wasn't that there was wrong paperwork, even though that's exactly what the tracking said. It was that Royal Mail wasn't going to be shipping to the US and all the COVID restrictions and all that kind of stuff. But don't worry, now it's on its way. And sure enough, it eventually did make its way over to the US. And for a couple of days, it was showing up as in New York. And the last scan said, nope, some kind of issue in New York. Return to sender, signed off in New York by me. I'm in Georgia. I never signed a damn thing. It also didn't get returned to sender because later that same day, when it supposedly was returned to sender in New York, it arrived at my doorstep. Thank goodness I had a Kickstarter game showing up at the time so that I saw it on the doorstep because it poured down rain about half an hour after I got it off the porch. So it made it. Parcel Force and FedEx got it to me, but damned if I understand a thing about the actual way that any of the wording is on their tracking system. It makes no sense, at least over here. I can't imagine it got from being returned to sender in New York to me in like 12 hours without something being screwed up with that scan. In any event, it stressed the hell out of me. It stressed out Julian, but thankfully it is here, and I can't thank Julian enough for helping me get these, especially with all that he had to endure with the extra stress of this. I hate it when extra stress is put on somebody who's trying to help me. Like, if I'm the one buying it and I get stressed, it sucks, but at least it's only being carried by me, like the Video 8 stuff from Japan. But to have this stuff also be stress carried by Julian, I dislike that because it's all because he's trying to help me. I feel responsible for it, although obviously it was more Parcel Force FedEx that was more responsible for that whole thing. Suffice to say, they're all here. I will not retell this story in the next 2 episodes as we cover more of these. This is it. This is my one-time ranting about the ridiculous process of getting it to me. We're going to take a look at the 3 prequel trilogy steelbooks in this episode. Next episode, we will look at the sequel trilogy. In the following episode, we will look at the A Star Wars Story anthology films, and that'll wrap up our coverage of all 11 of the UK steelbooks from Zavvi in 2020. Again, we've already covered the original trilogy. We start with The Phantom Menace. I'll show you these first in the J cards for each one. The J cards will be essentially identical, so we won't go into detail on each. 4K Ultra HD, Blu-ray, and bonus disc. You'll have your ratings if there are ratings for both the UK and Ireland, which is not the case for Revenge of the Sith for some reason. Kind of curious as to why. Star Wars, the name of the film in between, in this case, Phantom Menace. The J card back, essentially what we got with those Black Border releases in August. So it's a 4K Ultra HD, the ultimate movie watching experience, set for 8K, etc. Then you got your bit about the film, cast, crew, info about what's on the 4K disc, info about what's on the Blu-ray discs, how to even watch a 4K disc if you're not quite sure, your various symbols and whatnot, your disc stats, more symbols, your rating information, legalese, and UPC. Then you've got the ratings and product number on both of the teeny tiny J card spines. The actual steelbook underneath is what we really want to look at here. For the most part, just like with A New Hope, they're using movie posters for these. So it's familiar artwork, but usually not artwork we've seen on a steelbook, or at least not one we've seen in the steelbook form in the UK or the US, which does make these kind of special, although some of them do mirror some cases we've seen elsewhere. So here we go. Got our poster art, title of the film. You got that border running around it, just like we saw with the others. It's a matching set of all 11. Woohoo! Which is awesome. Then on the spine, you've got Lucasfilm. You've got
4K Ultra HD. Teeny, teeny, tiny.
And then you got Star Wars, The Phantom Menace. Always set up the same way, with just a different name of the film, of course. The back is going to have the border with Lucasfilm down at the bottom and a copyright, and then an image, in this case, Maul. Right? The whole, at last we reveal ourselves to the Jedi, etc., etc., etc. Now, inside, we're going to find the discs are the same as what we would have seen on the releases back in August, or the Skywalker Saga box set, of course, with the exception of Solo and Rogue One, which will mirror what we saw in August, but they weren't in the Skywalker Saga box set. So we're not going to look at all the discs, but I will point out just the design of them as an example here with Phantom Menace. We've got the label with the name up here, the image, Lucasfilm feature film 4K Ultra HD, the 2 ratings, Ultra HD Blu-ray, product number, and copyright for the 4K disc. We've got the Blu-ray disc that has the logo at the top, Blu-ray disc, Lucasfilm feature film, product number there, copyright there, region ABC there, ratings here. Yes, ABC means it can be watched in a US player. Ultra HD discs don't do region coding. And then there is your bonus disc, again, title, rating, Blu-ray, Lucasfilm bonus, ABC, copyright at the bottom, and off to the side the product number. What we really are interested in inside these is just what is the image used for the interior of the Steelbook. In this case, it's the pod race. Right? So when we're talking to Anakin, we can tell him, no, Anakin, flying in a spaceship and blowing up, a spaceship by accident, that's not pod racing. Now this is pod racing. It's never really made a whole lot of sense to me. It'd be like if somebody was playing cricket, but they did really well and they played baseball back home, that they'd be playing cricket and then be like, now this is baseball. No, it's cricket. It's actually kind of different. Thank God he wasn't playing tennis or something, because he probably would have said the same thing. Anyway, then we get Attack of the Clones. Again, the poster art there. Notice here the similar design to the J card. And I guess I should note that the bottoms are blank. I mean, that's kind of a given, but the bottoms are blank. Then again, the poster art there. I always like this set of poster art. Then we got Jango there on the back. Inside, again, the same discs, so we will not necessarily take a look at them. Just what is actually inside. And inside is Yoda catching some Force lightning. And then finally, and this is the oddball because it only has the one rating, Revenge of the Sith. Barring the one rating, which leaves some extra space, including down here, right, because just the one, not the one in the middle. Okay? Essentially the same J-card design and similar Steelbook design. Again, the original poster art there. The spine. The back there is General Grievous. Hello there. Then inside, a little spoilerish if you didn't realize Anakin was becoming Vader in this film, though I'm not sure how you could possibly have not known that. We have the two Sith Lords looking out at the Death Star, though of course we don't see that it's the Death Star that they are looking at. So yes, finally, a matching set of Steelbooks, though we've only looked at now 6 out of the 11. Again, in our next episode, we'll be taking a look at the sequel trilogy Steelbooks, and then we'll take a look at Solo and Rogue One in our final episode of coverage on the 2020 Zavvi Steelbooks. Both of those episodes coming up next here on the channel. With that, we'll wrap up this episode. Thank you for watching, and hearing me blather on about the annoying process of getting these into my hands. Again, thank you so much to Julian and everyone else. May the Force be with the home video viewers.